Welcome to Beyond the Press Release, a production of Agoracom, in which we take the time to speak with small cap executives after they put out big news. With us today, happy to have him back because he keeps putting out big news every week, it seems like now. David Lukacs, he's the CEO of Liquid Avatar Technologies, trades in Canada under LQID, and for our friends in the US under LQAVF. For those of you new to the story, and for those who are old to the story, look, we typically talk about the fact that Liquid Avatar is the small cap leader when it comes to the space of personal identity management, data protection, monetization, all of that, and all the platforms they've built around that. But that's not what we're talking about today, even though there is a tie-in. What we're talking about today is the metaverse. And we know a lot of you have heard that term. You've heard it thrown around. It's making headlines everywhere. But not very many people do a great job of describing what that is. So give me a second here, because I really want to make sure we get everyone on the same page and tie it into the company's press release. So the internet, guys, has evolved from .com back in the late 90s, read only, to Web 2.0 over the last 12, 15 years, with read and engage, to Web 3, which I can best describe in layman's terms as entering the matrix. And that's for some of the older viewers who are amongst us right now, or for our younger investors who are watching, Ready Player One. The technical term for this is called the metaverse. It was first coined Neal Stephenson's 1992 sci-fi novel Snow Crash as a concept that blends digital and physical existence. And it's already a $30 billion market, guys, already. But you haven't seen anything yet. Why? This was always coming, but we just didn't know when, because we needed two things to happen: the evolution of technology and the evolution of acceptance for all of us to accept this. The tech is now here thanks to augmented reality, virtual reality, blockchain, which you know that Liquid Avatar is very heavily involved in, and the rise of NFTs, which you know also that Liquid Avatar is very involved in. But acceptance was always more of the wild card. But the COVID-19 pandemic was the catalyst that drove the internet to the next stage of its evolution, the metaverse now, where cyberspace becomes more of an interactive 3D space with commerce and networking alongside content, much like the worlds, if you want to picture it, like the worlds we've seen, for example, in Fortnite, for some older people, and Roblox. How big is it going to get? That's the important part. The important part. The global metaverse market size is projected to increase by one source by 1,000%, from 30 billion now to about 280 billion by 2025. We think that's an understatement, and we're looking at Bloomberg Intelligence. That's Bloomberg, that believes the metaverse can reach $800 billion by 2024. Believe that. Roundhill Investments, a major ETF sponsor, said, "We believe more virtual platforms will emerge. New virtual platforms will emerge and will likely exceed today's leaders." Well, that's the press release today. Oasis Digital Studios appointed exclusive agency for new metaverse Aftermath Islands. I know there was a lot to say there, guys, but you see the funnel, and it goes why we're so excited about today's press release. David, welcome back, man. You're breaking new ground again.
Well, George, it's always a lot of fun. That's the best way to put it.
Look, this is, if for a lot of people who read this headline, they may not understand how big this potentially could be. Hopefully, for everyone who's watching and listening by podcast, they're starting to get an idea of this is serious business. To you, let's ask you for a second. What is the metaverse? Why should investors care about the metaverse?
Well, I think we've all been living in sort of an early stage metaverse as the internet has started to progress over the last 10 or 15 years. And I think you said it very, very well, but I will say that I think PwC said by around 2025, the metaverse might be worth $1.5 trillion.
Yeah.
So the numbers are all over, but they're not low numbers. But the metaverse is really an immersive community. If you've ever played video games, most video games are what we call linear. It's quest after quest after quest, and those are usually console games. If you play games like Fortnite or World of Warcraft or many others that have come and gone, they're more immersive, and they're called MMORPGs. And I won't go into all the terminology.
Yeah,
I know, but anyways, the long and short of it is they're immersive. They're first-person games. And what started to happen is, with Neal Stephenson's book Snow Crash and Ernest Cline's book Ready Player One, and then Ready Player Two, and the technology moving to a point where we're getting closer to fully enabled 5G, there's a lot more computing power. And so immersive opportunities are starting to appear. So what's going to happen is I'm going to have my avatar, and I am going to be able to play my avatar in certain games, and I'm going to be able to play different avatars in different worlds or games. And some of it's going to be, video game quality 2D, and some of it will be immersive 3D quality. Some of it will not have AR at the beginning or VR at the beginning. But what we're going to start to see is a more and more immersive experience for people, goggles or glasses or none. It will be a much more immersive experience. And so what we're doing is we're taking advantage of the early stage, and literally one of our technology clients brought us an introduction to Aftermath Islands, and sort of the rest is now history.
Yeah, so before we hop right into the details of the press release, to just hone that point even more, right now I can play Fortnite, and I've got an avatar and I've got it kind of dressed up. But then if I go play another game, it's a complete different avatar, it's a complete different experience. Now we're talking about your one avatar that you create and everything around it, or a couple, they can just go through different metaverses. You don't have to, it's not, you have to log into one, then you have to log into another.
You're stealing our thunder again. I mean, that the term is the same as we use for digital credentials. It's called interoperability, right? It's the ability to take one piece of digital data and move it among systems. And so, there are closed or walled garden metaverses that exist today, and they will continue to exist, and people will continue to play in those. But what we're hoping long term is that there is opportunity for you to take avatars in your Liquid Avatar account, and then move them into other forms of reality. And that was sort of the impetus for Liquid Avatar, almost a couple of years ago now. And now we're taking it to the next stage and connecting it and our services through Oasis into the metaverse.
One more question about the big picture. You and I are veterans of .com, right?
Right.
They can see by our hair, they know how. So you and I have seen the evolution. .com, late 90s, Web 2.0 for the last 15-ish years or so, 17 years. Man, how big is Web 3, the metaverse? Is this, you've seen it all. You've succeeded in both stages, by the way. A lot of people don't know that. A successful exit in Web 1, a successful exit in Web 2. How much bigger do you think Web 3 is going to be, and how serious should investors be taking their look at it?
Well, I've often said this about the Liquid Avatar program, and it's the biggest thing I've ever done, because it touches, the opportunity itself touches up to 5 billion people. Digital identity is addressable to everyone around the world. And if digital identity is addressable to everyone around the world, it follows that avatars are addressable to everyone in the world. And if avatars are addressable to everyone in the world, then the metaverse is addressable to everyone in the world. And so this is sort of the culmination of a lot of things that people have been working on for the last 20 or 30 years. And it has a lot to do with the ability to deal with computing power. And
sorry about that. Keep going.
Mine's 90 pound, and I just call him Doorbell now.
This is the world now. Okay. This is the world we live in.
This is the world. Guys. And so at the end of the day, we think that this is the next big thing. And it isn't the next big thing just for young people. It is, you're going to be able to virtually travel. You're going to be virtually, really virtually shop and look three-dimensionally at products and services.
I did my first Oculus the other day, and guys, it was so real that even though I was walking my kitchen floor and I was in this world where I could fall off the edge, it took me a minute to take that step. Even though I knew I was in my kitchen and makes no logical sense, I was both scared and excited at the same time. I couldn't take, that's how real it was. So that's when I first realized, David, the metaverse is coming, because it just provides an experience. Right now we're on our laptops, our mouse, and we're doing all these things. But I mean, and you're at home, I'm at home on a camera, but we're going to be interacting in the metaverse pretty soon, right? You and I are going to be walking through the metaverse while we're doing these interviews.
Well, in 1992, 93, that was Neal Stephenson's Snow Crash situation. That's what he sort of came up with, I think it's hero protagonist is the main character's name. Or Wade Watts, or whatever you want to call it, from Ready Player One. the idea is that, you know, right now we are separated by distance. The metaverse reduces that distance to zero, no matter where the starting point is globally. So you know, again, I always go back to the statement when we developed the e-commerce packet technology in the late 90s for the banks. Everybody just kept telling us no one would shop online, no one would shop online, no one would shop online. And you and I were together at that point in time, you know, working on one of my first companies. And we were doing translation for companies like Disney, real-time translation. And people said, oh, that's just a fad. Like, none of this stuff is a fad. It's real. I mean, Facebook has just announced that they're going to invest $50 million. That's just a drop in the bucket. Okay, Facebook will likely, in my humble opinion, invest substantially more. I mean, you know,
well, Samsung Asset Management, which is the asset manager of the Samsung, just launched a metaverse fund.
Yeah.
So I mean, if their due diligence has told them, hey, we got to launch a fund because this is going to be something, then I don't think the rest of us have to really question that anymore, even though we want to disbelieve what we're hearing sometimes. I think the DD is in, the writing's on the wall as far as where we're going.
One of the big things, and I'll plug one of the other Canadian small caps, you know, tokens.com, right? They announced 2 weeks ago with the Metaverse group, who are friends of ours, and that they bought into their fund of virtual land, and they're looking down the road at potentially creating a virtual land REIT. So this is not
unbelievable.
This is not, you know, this is not anymore the situation. And what I want to be clear about this before we get to the next part of the conversation, this is not a diversion for Liquid Avatar Technologies. This is a roadmap item that's been hanging off to the side, waiting for the markets, and I don't mean the financial markets, but waiting for the markets to start to go beyond conceptualization. Not that Roblox wasn't here, not that Decentraland wasn't here, not that the Sandbox wasn't here, but a big impetus in the last couple of weeks is, you know, Snoop Dogg did a big deal with the Sandbox. I mean, it's becoming a daily situation. We're hearing more and more metaverse, again, back to Facebook. So
we're going into the matrix.
Right. So we've been working on this a while. And again, we wanted to find the right deal. And this is one of the reasons we started Oasis, is because we wanted to look at products that were not digital identity, but yet connected your digital persona, who you are in the real world, to who you are in the virtual world. So this is a vision that we've had for the last, you know, 12 or 18 months that we've really locked onto, but it's really hard to explain to an investor at day one, you know, hey, this is what we're thinking. And, you know, sort of like, okay.
It's hard enough for people to picture digital ID just on its own. Forget about the metaverse and an avatar, the metaverse with its own credentials. And I mean, that's just too much of a mind blower a year and a half ago.
Well, absolutely. But they all coalesce, right? They all come together in the same environment. And you've got to find, you know, the right solutions. And not every absolute solution will be a winner, but once you're in play, there's opportunities to move left and right, because there's so, but you got to be in play, right? It's sort of whether you want to use the Gretzky analogy or any other analogy, you know, you've got to go where the puck will be, not where the puck is. And so we're taking what we're developing for Liquid Avatar Technologies and what we're developing at Oasis, and we're putting the two of them together now in several projects, and there's more to come.
Way more to come.
Exactly, where we're thinking about digital identity and what can you do with the digital identity, because while COVID is a very important factor today, and we know it's important, and we're active in that space, and you know, we've talked about governments and travel and all that type of stuff, and we're at the heart of all of that, but it's going to take some time for everyone to come together and make sure all the schemas are correct and everything is done. So there is, you know, global travel. And again, we're sitting in that arena. And then, you know, last week we announced, you know, 8,000 stores with age verification. All of this is moving to the same place, where we are taking the traditional, or what we call the real world, and now again, you know, combining it with what's virtual. We want to make it a single point of contact with the user, whether they're in the real world or in the digital world.
Yeah, people who thought for the longest time, I know there's an internet, but I'm just going to operate in the real world. You're quickly losing that wall. It's coming down. They're all going to blend.
Exactly.
Let's talk about Aftermath Islands. help us kind of visualize what is Aftermath Islands. And I know there's a lot that can be done, but what can somebody do on Aftermath Islands, and how's that going to generate, revenue and value for you and everybody involved?
Sure. And so let's start with a situation. If you've ever seen Ready Player One, the movie, or read the book, it's all about different worlds, right? Going from world to world to world. Aftermath Islands took the same concept, but said instead of doing it on different sort of planets, like hopping from planet to planet, this idea was to do it on different islands. And so you'll have an island that is dedicated to X or Y or Z. Now, originally it started off as more of a thematic pirate adventure. And we worked with them and said, we think there's a better opportunity to retool this, to look at it in sort of three chunks. One is thematic islands that have a theme.
Okay.
So, and for those that go to aftermathislands.com, you can see some of the original themes that we're bringing out. There's Rex Sands, which is a pirate theme, or there's Cyber Island, which is a futuristic landscape, or Horseshoe Bay, which is Western setting. There's going to be more and more thematic islands coming out. And those islands, you can own a piece of property on that island, and you can stake your ground and do things and build your own houses and shops and all kinds of great things. And you'll be able to play games and quest and adventure and do things on those islands in that specific theme. And you'll be able to hop from island to island. So that's not an issue. Then there are community islands like, Evergreen Isle or Amber Bay, or Amber Isle. There's different names for communities.
There could be an Agoracom Island technically down the future.
There could.
Small cap executives and investors and meet and talk and do all sorts of stuff.
We're talking a whole bunch of DeFi companies about a DeFi island. So yeah, absolutely.
There you go.
So there you go. And we've already got, interest from things like virtual stock exchanges. And we're talking to organizations about entertainment and shows and casinos and sports events. So there's lots of opportunity out there. And then there's community islands, which is more settings, more like you would have in more Sims type applications. Like if your kids played Sims when they were younger, or you played Sims. So more community focused, where there'll be shopping malls and events where your everyday sort of lives can be played. There might be libraries or office buildings on a community island. And then for the really the people who want to have a specific small island concept, and only a few on a small island, there are going to be estates. And some of our first estates are Bitcoin Bay and ETH Estates and Musk Manor, and Crypto Key. And so you can own estates on those particular addressable islands. And again, you can always hop from island to island. So you could have properties all over the place and become your own little land baron.
And David, by the way, for people who are thinking, I don't know, there are going to be some doubters, no matter what. Anytime something new happens, or doubters. Yeah. But guys, let's not forget, we're already doing that already. That experience is already happening. It's just that's happening in different medium. So we're going to social community sites like Instagram, and then we're going to business sites like Agoracom, and they're going to e-commerce sites like Amazon. It's just that we're doing it all with keyboards and point and click. This is just the next evolution, right? Exactly. So it's actually not that dissimilar. We're not telling people the experience is different. We're telling how you experience it is going to be different.
Exactly. And it's going to be, we're trying to make it fun and educational. So in a community island, there might be virtual schools, right? And and we're going to have entertainment islands where we're going to have concerts. We're already starting to look at that at Oasis now with planned events. So there's lots of ways to do this, but here's the cool part. It all comes back, before I get into the revenue modeling with you and everything else, it all comes back. I'm itching
to get to that.
Yeah, I'm itching too. But it all comes back to Liquid Avatar. So you'll be able to manage your accounts and your avatars through Liquid Avatar.
Awesome. Amazing.
So this is the connectivity that we've been looking for. Now, again, it doesn't dismiss anything we're doing with age verification or COVID credentials or any of that. But this is that connection point that is owned by you. It's not owned by a social media company.
Right.
It's not owned by a mobile company or a fruit or robot based wallet, it is yours. It is all about you. So that's the connection point. That's why we're so excited. And it brings in stage one. It might be first person, like a more traditional game. And then we move into web AR and virtual reality. And the islands can be
definitely going there. It's definitely going there.
No, 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 but
I'm going to be able to jump off a cliff of one of these islands one day using my virtual reality with my avatar and literally jumping off a cliff into the ocean. That's guys, believe that.
Absolutely. And in the reaction so far to a number of communities in talking to communities has just been outstanding. So that's the whole premise is to virtualize, not virtual reality, but virtualize your conventional world experiences in a digital world and allow you to own property. Now, candidly, if you would have bought property in, let's say, Decentraland back 4 years ago, it may have cost you, under $50 a piece of land, like a plot of land or a lot of land. Land on Aftermath is going to be sold in 1,000 square meter increments on an island, and there'll be a certain amount available phase one, and they'll sell from somewhere around $45. But if you take the same premise at Decentraland today, that land could be worth $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 for that same lot that you bought 4 years ago. So I don't care how much Bitcoin is increased or Ethereum. You start looking at those types of numbers, and they're massive. And again, it's limited amount of lots of land and parcels of land, and it's thematic or it's community or it's a state.
Devil's advocate, David, though, because I always challenge everybody on these things. What is your answer if somebody says, well, why should I go to Aftermath Islands? I'm just going to go create Georgecom Islands, and I'll go make a whole bunch of money from it. So, bam, I'm in business, and I'm now a metaverse company. How do you? What's your answer to that?
Are you a technologist? Do you understand all the technology that goes into blockchain and all that type of stuff, and AI, AR, and AI and VR? Do you have the wherewithal to bring those parties together? Do you? How are you going to manage identity management and management of your avatars? I mean, we've got the building blocks. We've been building all these building blocks. I mean,
it's deep tech, right? It's really deep tech. It's like a developer. I can't say I'm going to go build a condo, because what do you know about building condos? Foundations, walls, windows, piping. And so that's the same thing. I just want to make sure I brought up that point.
No, but here's the other thing, George, we can partner with you. So we're already looking at partnerships with brands to say, look, we've got the brand, we've got the value, we've got the users. Can we bring those to your organization? And how do we partner together to build value? Right. So this is the idea behind the island structure, is that not that the number of islands are infinite, but the islands on a planet are infinite and the number of planets are infinite. So you can continue to grow this, and you can create soft walled gardens around each island, so that people can come and go as they're authorized to do so. So you can't come to an event if you don't have a ticket. So you can't enter the island if you don't have the ticket.
Yeah.
So or you walk through a cave on Dino Alley, and you're in a game on another metaverse, because we have an interoperability agreement. So there's lots of stuff going. But again, I want to assure our stakeholders that this is a connectivity point that we've been working on for many months, and it's just the right time to start to put it all together.
Hey, clearly, and it's not just, guys, remember, it's not just David and Liquid Avatar saying this, right? You see what the numbers are from Price Waterhouse, from 1.5 trillion. And by the way, I didn't use that number because I know it's also AR and VR, but it's hard to disconnect. But I love the fact that Bloomberg Intelligence on its own says Metaverse on its own $800 billion by 2024. So guys, this is happening for everyone at home. It's happening, right? It's just a case of how big this is going to be. But we're going into the matrix. We're building an entirely different, an entire new ecosystem, digital. That's what's going to happen. So how do you make money, David? So here comes George. I walk onto Aftermath Island, and I look at one of the islands that I'd like to be on. I love the idea of Bitcoin Bay, right? So I go to Bitcoin Bay and I say, all right, I want to buy this plot of island for $50. Am I limited to one? Can I buy several? Can I buy the whole island? And then how do you guys make your money?
Okay, so let's start with what you can do. So you can come in and you'll be able to go and purchase a single lot or parcels. And parcel could be 4 squares, 9 squares, 16 squares, 25 squares, or 100, 64 or 100 squares, depending on availability, because there's only a certain amount of land per island available, because there has to be common land and or infrastructure to build everything that we need to build and make sure that people can move from island to island. And so you'll be able to go, and we'll announce shortly the pre-sale dates. And initially you'll buy an NFT. So this is where the whole Oasis program comes in. So you buy an NFT.
Explain that, because I can't just go with a credit card.
Right. Well, you can. You actually can. The system will allow you to use a credit card to buy an NFT. So
yeah, but the NFT is what you ultimately have to
you own the NFT, and when the game goes live, or the platform goes live, which is expected in and around mid 2022, you'll be able to turn that into a different NFT, which will be deedable property. So if George comes in and buys 100 lots today, he can't subdivide it until the game goes live, and then he could subdivide it and sell them as he wishes. So you can buy lots of land today, and then you'll be able to buy styles of houses. So houses on Wrecked Sands, which is our pirate island, will not be the same houses that are on the medieval, Camelot Key. So there'll be different properties that you can buy. And it's going to be a lot of fun, but it's also going to be something that, people can, buy today and look to see where the value opportunity goes tomorrow. I mean, this is sort of, you want to be an early adopter. I mean, some people in every game, those that get the big prizes in any game that are transferable, there's been economies for these games for years. So that's how it works. You can buy an NFT at the beginning. You can hold that NFT in your wallet, and we walk you through how to create a wallet for the NFT. And at the end of the day, you're done. That's your NFT that represents that lot of land. You can sell that NFT if you wish. That's your decision. We're not involved in the resale of NFTs, and transfer it accordingly, move it accordingly. And we've seen some massive.
And that's a whole other thing, by the way, because there's a marketplace for that. It's not like I just call up David on the phone and say, hey, you want to buy this NFT off me? There's a whole marketplace for that.
And we've talked about this, like Bored Apes. Some people bought Bored Apes for 10,000 and they're selling for hundreds of thousands of dollars. We're not suggesting that this is an investment. It should be an entertainment opportunity to begin with, but that's the way it goes. You can buy land on your favorite island depending on availability from the outset. There's going to be multiple phases, so there's going to be more islands coming out with themes and more communities and more really cool estate names. We've got the first 2 or 3 phases already planned, and there's about 7,500 parcels available in phase 1. And according to Aftermath Islands, the value of that is about 1.4 million US. And how
you guys will take a percentage of sales and also have equity participation as well.
Yeah, we get about 30% of the sale, net of any costs of selling. We get about 30% of that. And then we get a trailing amount of land on every island that goes up. And then we have an option to take a significant amount of equity from Aftermath Islands at our sole discretion. The agreements are already executed. At any time in the next almost, I think, about a year. I think that's where it is. So it's a really amazing opportunity for us. And these are the opportunities that we've been growing into. We've been testing the NFT market so that we could find some really cool things, cut our teeth and be ready. And this is right up our alley.
Last question for you, because it's amazing. 30 minutes has flown by. This has been an unbelievable conversation. Yeah. So, and we could talk for 2 hours, and maybe one day we will have to do a 2-hour roundtable for everybody with and a couple of other guys and talk about it. But eventually, will brands be able to come and participate here? Can Agoracom, and I'm not a global CPG band, but I don't want to mention other names just so no one else. But can Agoracom come and say, David, love how Aftermath Islands is going. It's great. You've got 50% of your plots sold out. Clearly, it's going to be a winner. We want to create a branded Agoracom Island where our investors come. We give all sorts of rewards, and it's really chilling and hanging out. Do you see that as a future revenue stream, as a future growth component?
We're seeing those conversations begin already.
Oh wow,
George, that my background and several of the team members' background, we have a large background in entertainment, sports, and consumer products, and so we're already seeing those opportunities come to us. And it's still early days. We're hoping that a few of those will be ready by phase 2, phase 3, but we're in negotiations as we speak with a number of interesting brands. Part of our opportunity is, as you know, with our Cabin Cash program and other retail programs, we're hoping that a consumer packaged goods company would have presence in Aftermath Islands and on Cabin Cash. And then when you bought, let's say, a pair of sneakers, trainers, whatever you want to call them, in real life, you'd get a digital pair that you could put on your avatar.
I love it.
So we're already there. We're talking about wearables, because right now, to mint a wearable in Decentraland costs $300 to create a wearable in Decentraland. We've already got companies that we're connected with that do rock concert T-shirts and all this type of stuff, who are already saying, can we talk? And so
because someone's spending $200 on myself in the real world, I want to give them a digital version of it for an extra $10 or something like that.
Absolutely.
And it's a huge win for them, right?
Absolutely, because the marginal cost of production of an NFT is almost zero. So it is a really, really interesting idea. But again, I want to anchor this back to the fact that it all begins and ends with your Liquid Avatar account.
Yeah. David, congratulations, man. I mean, look, we just scratched the surface. We know there are a lot of people at home who are maybe scratching their head, but getting so keep doing your research. Listen to the intro again to give you guys. I strongly suggest everyone listen to the intro again to give you. Now it makes even more sense, because you can tie it back into what David said and then watch or listen to it all over again to connect the dots. But man, I love the fact, David, that you always come on, take the time to explain this, because you're on the cutting edge. You're on the cutting edge of identity, digital identity. And a year and a half ago, people didn't see the genius, and now it's almost like, wow, Liquid Avatar is ahead of it. And now on the on the Metaverse NFT side, through this Oasis Digital Studios partnership that you guys have got, the sky's the limit again. So can't wait to see what you guys are going to keep bringing. But congratulations on always being at the forefront for the small cap world.
Well, thank you. So I'm going to encourage everyone to go to aftermathislands.com, sign up for more information. We're people that have signed up at Liquid Avatar know that we send out something called the Weekly Buzz. And Aftermath Islands is going to have its own, in the next few weeks, its own weekly newsletter, some features and answering questions and opportunities. And it's George, it's an exciting path. It is one that is one of discovery for our investors. But our vision is, I believe, very narrowband focused. Just things are coming to us now because we've built the foundational building block with Liquid Avatar that allows us now to create the connectivity.
Man, and that the connectivity is what excites me all the way through, because I haven't seen anyone who's got all of it. And I follow the NFT market, I follow the Metaverse market pretty closely, and there are a lot of great projects out there, but no one's got it soup to nuts, right? Yeah. And this is the really exciting part. So congratulations, man.
Thank you so much.
To everybody at home, you've been watching or you've been listening by podcast on Spotify, Google, Apple, or your favorite podcast platform. To Dave Lukacs, CEO of Liquid Avatar Technologies, trades in Canada under LQID. For our friends in the US, LQAVF. For those new to the story, get yourself over to Gorecom, take a look at the company's profile page in order to get a good 1,000-foot overview of the company, because there's cutting edge tech here, but man, you better be a part of it. And I'm not talking about buying the stock, but you better be a part of the cutting edge. Digital identity is coming, private, your identity protection, all that is monetization is coming. The Metaverse is coming, NFTs, and Liquid Avatar is the tip of the spear for the small cap world. And then stage 2, click from there, or you can see right over David's head, liquidavatartechnologies.com. Get there to do your deep dive, your really deep dive due diligence. Just don't tell me 12 months from now, when the Metaverse is starting to be is everywhere, when digital ID is everywhere, that we didn't tell you so. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day. See you next time.
Hey guys, this video is over, but don't forget to help your company by liking it and then leaving a comment below. And then don't forget to help yourself by subscribing to our channel so you don't ever miss another great Agoracom small cap video.